Another attorney commercial with big promises, millions of dollars, practicing law 24 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Let's get rid of the smoke and mirrors. None of that really matters. What does matter? Having a medical doctor as your attorney. That matters.
Morning, crew. It is Tuesday. It is March 17th. That mean, yeah, St. Patrick's Day today. That just hit me. I don't have anything green on. Better pinch myself. I hope you have a great day planned, regardless of if you're working, if you're celebrating St. Patty's Day, whatever you have planned. Thanks for joining me here, Mornings with Meister on Peaks2Plains Weather. And yesterday was kind of a cool day. I was out walking the dog and, better than Sunday for sure, but, not what we have coming. That is for sure. Check this out. Here's where we were yesterday. 44 was the high in the Springs. A lot of snow melting. I still have a part of my yard that gets shade. Still got some snow. We'll get rid of the rest of it today. Notice how much warmer it was on the western slope. 64 for Durango. That air is coming our way. And you know by now that we've got the historical warmth on the way here. So I wanted to talk about the snowpack really quick. Over the last week, we've lost about 10% in the southwestern corner of the state. Of course, we're always looking at the snow water equivalent. That's what we care about, how much water is in there. The Rio Grande Basin has lost about 8%, and the Arkansas Basin got a little bit of snow over the weekend around Pikes Peak, so that one not impacted as much. The Gunnison Basin came down quite a bit. And if you look at the snowpack across the state, we're at 59% of median. And with record warmth on the way for the rest of the week, if we're talking records across the Front Range, we're talking records over the mountains, you have to keep in mind that, we have better data in the cities than we have in smaller areas. And so, when we talk about records, we always highlight a couple of spots. But, if you're getting records in one area, you're probably getting them in another as well. Well, I wanted to take a look at what that's going to do to the high country. So I'm going to show you Aspen here for the rest of the week. And so if in town we're talking 70 or so, upper 60s, you can imagine what that is up on the slopes. Obviously well above average. And so here's where we are on the snowpack for the state. And I've shown you multiple times over, the years, this graphic. But what I want you to focus on is where the historical minimum of this is. And you see the dates there on the bottom. But statewide, the historical previous to this year, we're below it. We've been below it for the last several months. And we usually, on the years where there's less snowpack, we start to melt the snowpack off or do the spring runoff earlier than the years where there's a lot of snowpack. You know, the maximum years are kind of up in the blue. You can see it lags behind several weeks. Well, I'm going to show you my forecast here for the next couple of weeks. I think we're going down quick in a big way, partly because we've got this record warmth on the way. So that's not good news in terms of snowpack. And yeah, good morning, Christine, saying, hey, happy St. Patty's Day to you too. I wasn't sure if it was. It's always on the 17th, right? I don't know. And Teresa says, good morning from Weston. Teresa, good morning to you. If you would like to put a social media comment or question in, you can do so. And you can do it by using these links people did over the weekend. They're the same every day, so write them down. I put them in my posts. And, you know, Peaks2Plains Weather's our weather together. I'd love somebody to come on this morning, have a little bit of a chat, maybe talk about their thoughts about the upcoming warm weather or what we had over the weekend. If you were out on the roads early Sunday morning over the higher terrain of the Pikes Peak region, you know, maybe you were impacted by that. You're always welcome to come on the show here and join me. Right on cue, actually, we've got somebody. And oh my goodness sakes, he's got a Peaks2Plains Weather shirt on. Let's bring him in, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my buddy Jim Martin. Jim, you might be the biggest Peaks2Plains Weather supporter, which you are a dear friend of mine, so I appreciate that. But how are you doing this morning?
Doing well. So
Yeah?
got my Zero Dark 30 coffee, catching
Ooh.
up on the weather. Kind of wishing I was there to pinch you because you don't have any green on. So,
Well, I don't see any
yeah.
on you.
Well, got my logo. Oh, this logo doesn't have the green like the one behind you. I guess I
Right.
don't.
It's the white one. I got a question for you. Are you excited for the warmth that's coming up here for the rest of the week?
Yes and no. I was pretty chilly yesterday, so I'm excited for a little bit of
Right.
warmth, but because it's so unseasonably warm and the snowpack is so low that
Right.
makes me nervous for fire season
Right.
and crops, all that fun stuff.
I think everybody kind of has that sense of, you know, maybe it's a fire year on the way. Your family's big skiing family, and I know the rest of the crew tends to get up more than you because you're working and you're getting stuff done. But the when you've got up there, how has it been this year?
The snow has been good, so I think the slopes have done a good job of making snow, moving it around, and we got up there after the spring snow storms this month or February, I guess, and
Right.
so the snow was really good. So very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's good that they have the ability to make snow and that they work so hard when they do get, the Mother Nature's help that they move it around. They spend a lot of time doing that with the snowcats to try to keep it nice. So, yeah. What else you want to say this morning, Jimbo?
Oh, not really. I just was checking in with you. I missed you, and so I thought I'd say hi and happy St. Patrick's Day. Oh, and I got to say happy birthday to my sister, who is born on St. Patrick's Day. So
So is she like a big celebrator of it or not really?
she is probably over my Peaks to Plains T-shirt will go my made for shenanigans shirt that she got me. So
Oh, okay. So is she like a big drinker on her birthday and St. Patty's Day? Like, is she out at one of the bars that opened at 5 a.m.?
no, I don't think she is. Matter of fact, I think she's celebrating her birthday in the Caribbean, I believe.
Oh, well, isn't she blessed? Happy birthday to her for
Yep.
sure. Man, oh
Yep.
man. All right, Jimbo. Well, you've got your American Classic coffee. I've got mine in here. I've got Sequoia. I am
Cheers.
out. So when I'm done, I'm texting Spence because I'm like, Spence, I'm not going to have any for the afternoon. He told me a couple weeks ago, he's like, let me know when you need more. And I'm like, I will. And then, I just get busy. You know how I am. I get busy with stuff. And here I am now, no coffee. Way to go, Meister. Well, Jim, I love you. You know that. Really, really good guy. I appreciate who you are as a man. For people that don't know, like Jim inspires me as a husband. Jim inspires me as a Christian. He inspires me as a dad. And he is one of my dear friends. And so thanks for starting your day with me, Jim. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you so much. It's so good to see friends supporting you, what you do. Jim is an entrepreneur as well. And, there's great days as an entrepreneur. There's not great days as an entrepreneur. Just kind of depends on what's happening. For me, driven by the weather lots of times. But, I'm going to use the quiet weather this week to do some development stuff. Started working on severe thunderstorm stuff yesterday. Working on some fire stuff, like multiple months of development on the weather system end of things. And so I'm taking the quiet weather this week to do that. Speaking of, let's talk about what's happening out there this morning. Man, we are all over the place. And this is a classic Colorado map when you have warmer air coming into the area. So you can see Eads is 19. I mean, that's the tail end of that air mass over the weekend. There actually was a little bit of snow across northeastern Colorado last night. I'll show you that in a second. But look at the contrast up against the hills. Canyon and Walsenburg are running around 50. So, some folks are freezing their what's off this morning, and other folks are like, hey, it feels beautiful outside. And so, Canyon City's about 30 degrees warmer than yesterday. Even the chilly spots are warmer than yesterday, though. And that shows you that we've got this change that is moving in. So I'm going to head over to the weather wall this morning, and we're going to talk about what is coming here for the rest of the week, because we've got some really, really warm weather on the way. And when I need to get down with what's happening, I'm going over to the weather wall because that's where I get after it, right? So let me show you this snow that happened across northeastern Colorado last night. I mean, it's gone now. But if you look at the northeastern corner of the state, you look up across parts of Wyoming and Nebraska, that's the real tail end of the jet stream that's been overhead and drove that front in over the weekend. There's a little bit of moisture coming in there. If somebody's up skiing early this morning, or, if they're hiking up the slopes, if they got the skins on the skis and they're going up slope this morning, there might be a flurry somewhere as that moisture pushes up against the hills. But, really the story the rest of the week is the heat. So I want to talk about that because I want to show you where the air is actually coming from that's going to be overhead. And to do that, I need to widen out in a really big way. Now, I want to, here's what's fun about Peaks2Plains Weather. I can get down little rabbit holes. When I was at the first TV station I was at in town, we had this company that was, TV consultants, and came and told us what we weren't doing wrong and what we needed to do better. And I'm all for that. I'm all for continuous improvement. But they said I should never zoom out from southern Colorado, like from the viewing area, because that's all people care about. Agreed. People care about what's happening out the front door. But blizzards, historical warmth, that stuff just doesn't show up on the doorstep all of a sudden. And if you don't zoom out of the area, how do you talk about what's coming later on in the week? Right. So I'm zooming out this morning because around this high pressure, the clockwise flow around it, our air is coming from lower latitudes, man, wrapping up around this thing and then coming into Colorado. So that's why we're talking all-time March record heat and records for days on end here. Stuff just doesn't show up on the doorstep. Okay, I don't know why that popped into my head, but I thought it was fun. Okay, so for Colorado Springs today, a big bump from yesterday. We'll be a little bit breezy in the afternoons. I mean, we kind of always are, right? You have to expect that, but not the wind over the weekend. I can tell you that. Lots of sunshine on the way. Tomorrow we're warmer than today. Today, we're actually going to be a couple degrees sort of behind the records. Tomorrow, we'll be right there. Pueblo, same story. Big jump from yesterday. Get a little bit breezy in the afternoon. 20 miles an hour. That's not too bad. Tomorrow, even less wind than today. So today's one of the breezier days. And then tomorrow, we're into the 80s. And, here go the records. So Durango gets about a 10-degree jump from yesterday when they were in the 60s. Springs, that's a nice solid 25, 30-degree swing from yesterday. So like Jim was saying, for the outdoor weather here, I mean, feeling nice, around 80 over the plains. I think we end up just shy of the records across the board today. Passing high clouds will be about it. I mean, tons of sun here. Outdoor activities the next few days going to be great. In fact, I am going to probably do our morning time together outside. I think maybe, I don't know, Thursday, because it's going to be so nice even in the mornings to be outside with the nice weather. Now, the mountain areas, usually they're a little bit higher up in the sky, obviously. Duh. But we'll have, breezier conditions overall than what we'll have at the lower elevations, but that's still not bad there. Daytime highs today in the upper 50s and 60s, start talking 60s and 70s here Wednesday, and we just keep that rolling for the balance of the week. So this afternoon, one of the breezier times, always tend to be windier over the mountains than we are over the plains, unless a front's coming through or something like that. And there will be a couple areas just downstream of the Continental Divide where we might get some gusts around 45 miles per hour today. So it's, fair play. Highway 287, some of the downslope areas just east of the Continental Divide. Wind pulls back overnight. Tomorrow will be breezier in the afternoon than will be in the morning. But notice across the board, the speeds are down a little bit from today. Interestingly enough, though, in Fremont County and the San Luis Valley, here where we have breezes and the temperature's taking another bump up tomorrow, we're kind of on the low end of fire weather concerns. Now, look, we're dry. I mean, it could be a fire any day. When I talk fire weather concerns, don't think that we're not going to get a fire on the days I'm not talking about it. I mean, we certainly can. But we're monitoring fire weather conditions, and there are some certain thresholds that we've observed over the years tend to make fires a little more likely to spread rapidly due to humidity and wind. You know all that stuff, right? We talk about that. So tomorrow afternoon, there are fire weather watches that are up for Fremont County and for the San Luis Valley, because we're just going to be kind of right up against those thresholds that we have to keep an eye on. Then behind Wednesday, man, we really get warm here for the end of the week. I'm going to talk about that coming up in a second. I'm going to take a short break, and then I'll be right back. We'll kind of focus on that. We'll get some comments from you. If you want to join the show, you know what to do. You're watching Peaks2Plains Weather.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee.
Here's to 150 years of the state we call home.
At Phil Long Ford Motor City, we've been around for 80 years. That's like 560 of dog years. Basically, we're the top dogs of Colorado. And thanks to our deals, selection, and service, we've earned some pretty loyal customers. And our GM, Mark, he's the most loyal guy I know. Even after I chewed up his shoe, it was delicious.
Great trucks, amazing deals, and belly rubs for dogs. Come see why Colorado drives Phil Long Ford Motor City. Hey guys, where's my shoe?
Emergencies are unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. Peak Alerts sends you targeted emergency alerts in real time for the places that matter to you most, so you know what's happening and what to do next. Know first, act fast. That's the power of Peak Alerts.
All right, I had a couple questions that I thought I would address here. Brad is one of the firefighters in Manitou Springs, and he says, what are we looking like for wind in Manitou? Because we're staying on stage 2 burn restrictions this week. Well, part of that, obviously, Brad, you guys are doing because of the temperatures and how kind of crispy it's been around here. But here is a look at the grids for Manitou. And you can see up against the peak there and kind of coming out of Ute Pass, that wind out of the west at times will be up around 20 miles per hour. And as the temperatures keep going up here, notice the 10-degree jump or so that we'll have between today and tomorrow. That's kind of the reason that you guys are on that. So, how cool to be able to answer questions like that. I think Brad knew the answer to that question. He just wanted me to talk about the fire weather concerns. Clinton is getting wind in Poncha Springs this morning, of course, in the upper Arkansas River Valley, talking about some of the windier spots over the mountains. And the mountains tend to get, if you're on the valley floors, you get the drainage overnight off of the hillsides, and that can help to increase your wind speeds. So, Clinton, that's part of why you are getting that this morning. Joe is watching from New Orleans. Yeah, thumbs up to that, man. Look at Joe likes man in the grill. Might be good couple days for grilling here over the next few days. And Cindy says, welcome to Colorado. I think she's talking about our, wild swings that we have. And she says, thanks for doing such a great job informing us. Cindy, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. That's actually a pretty good jumping off point here before I get into the extended forecast about the weekend. I spent 4.5 hours on Sunday morning covering the weather when it was nasty for folks over the higher terrain of the Pikes Peak region. And we've been talking about that since Wednesday. I put a little snippet together here. It's about 1 minute and 20 seconds. And I'd like to share it with you because if you missed it, it's what I built Peaks2Plains Weather for. So check this out.
Main concern for today would definitely be visibility because of the gusts and then the freezing road conditions.
4.5 hours of coverage on Sunday morning.
My wife and I, we like to cross-country ski, but we only went once this year because the snow just wasn't good at all.
Many of you joined me live. What had you up that early?
I'm an older guy, man.
One of the breaks during the night, right? From the comfort of your couch.
But as soon as we get out of the trees, the drifts and everything like that could reduce visibility.
And walking out and measuring snow live together.
I was awake about probably 3 in the morning and there was nothing. There you go, 10 inches.
With the wind trying to move us further south. To help your community understand how it was in different places. Is the wind bad where you are? It doesn't look like it.
No, not at all.
And that's what Peaks2Plains Weather is all about.
We had warmer weather, and then the ground is particularly warm, so you got some freezing going on the surface of the roads.
Download the Peaks2Plains Weather app today, but make sure you are ready for next time the weather gets a little bit squirrely where you are. Peaks2Plains, our weather together. So that was kind of fun. And, was it a little bit dramatic? Yeah. But you know what's crazy, crew? It's just me doing that. I was recording things while I was talking to some of those folks. We shared some laughs together. We shared some perspective together. Some of them, having lived here for a long time, talk about some of their the winters that they remember and saying this one is certainly, if it's not the worst, it is right there. So, that's what this is about. And as we get into thunderstorm season, or if there are fires around, when the weather is nasty, I am going to be here and I am going to rely on you. And so I know I say this every day, but this is a movement. And I would be grateful if you picked up the Peaks2Plains flag and you carried it and waved it where you were. And you told people about Peaks2Plains Weather, about the app. I would be grateful. And then encourage them to do it. If there's somebody older at church or something like that and they need some help, go ahead and help them, because I want to keep my community safe when the weather is nasty. And it sure was over the weekend for sure. Now we're kind of going to the other end of the spectrum here. So let's talk our extended forecast. Because we checked the records. I told you today will be shy. Tomorrow through Thursday, we're going to be right there. And through Saturday, sorry. Wednesday and Thursday, the records are higher than the records coming on Friday and Saturday. And what's kind of fun about that is that Friday and Saturday are going to be warmer than Wednesday and Thursday. So we'll be closer here the next few days than we're going to be on Friday and Saturday. For some perspective for you, the all-time record high for any date in Colorado Springs is 81. In Pueblo, it's 86. And I think we're taking those out here Friday and Saturday pretty easily. You saw my forecast for quick snow melt here on the snowpack. And the reason for that is that we've just got a weather pattern that is going to support some really, really warm air here for the rest of the week. So let's talk about it. Thursday, I've got 79 in the Springs. Remember, the record on Thursday is 80, so we're going to be close. And I actually have Thursday a degree cooler than tomorrow, and I've dropped a couple spots over the plains, so we'll be close Thursday as well. There's a weak little front that's going to back in from the east here. I'll talk about that a little bit more coming up. For the rest of us, though, we get into Friday and Saturday, and we are getting our warmest couple of days. That is ahead of a cold front that starts to approach for the weekend. So I do think the wind will pick up a little bit as we head toward the weekend. And so we probably have some fire weather concern days, at least in a couple areas. But then watch what happens between Saturday and Sunday. That front comes in from the north and is going to knock our temperatures back quite a bit here. And you will feel that. The difference between Saturday and Sunday is going to be stark. It's probably more noticeable over the plains than the mountains. But I mean, let's do the math there. 24-degree drop. Is that, yeah, 24-degree drop. So, it's noticeable. So the position of the upper level ridge changes. It flattens out. The jet stream gets a little more active to our north. You see that wave there, and you see the black lines kind of push sort of down a little bit. That shows us that the column of air above our heads is colder than what it was without that. And it kind of gets us into some westerly flow as we head into next week. Westerly flow tends to get some wind going over some of the eastern slopes of the mountain areas. Then there is another system next week that'll move up to our north. That jet stream is stronger than the weekend one. And that probably changes our temperatures as well as we move like kind of Wednesday into Thursday of next week. We probably get some wind with that. Maybe a little bit of light snow over the northern mountains, but unless that thing is farther south, we aren't going to get anything from it. So the couple temperature drops in the extended forecast, one for the back part of the weekend. We warm back up next week, not as warm as we're going to be here for the rest of this week, but still well above the seasonal averages. And then another temperature drop with that system for next week. What you don't see here on the extended forecast is, everybody with me? Say it at home. Moisture. Good job. Yeah. So, snowpack, not great. Telling you about that. I think some of the ski resorts are going to have to close earlier rather than later. So for the rest of the morning, here's what I'm going to work on. A detailed forecast or a look out into the future. I mean, when you go, more than 10 days, it's hard to start getting detailed. But Mike asks the question of, when is there going to be a substantial weather pattern change? Well, I will do a blog post on Peaks2Plains I'll do a post on that. I'll do a push alert on that in the Peaks2Plains Weather app. I'll share that on social media as well, because I haven't done a deep dive for a while in terms of that. So, we'll see. Letitia says her flight, she was asking about this, actually didn't make it out yesterday. She'll be going out this morning. No doubt about that. Letitia, was that because of our weather here, or was it because of the weather on the East Coast, the blizzard that they were getting in Chicago, the severe weather threat? The system was kind of backed up probably across the United States. So that's probably my guess versus what was actually happening here. Let's see, who else? Kathleen saying good morning this morning. Joy saying good morning and happy St. Patty's Day. Joy, happy St. Patty's Day to you. Joy looks like a partier there. She's got that little kind of smirk. Yeah, she's probably out doing something fun today. So anyway, so that's what I'll be working on today. Again, I'm doing development stuff behind the scenes, taking advantage of the quiet weather. And man, look at that. Quiet weather, and I just did half hour's worth of stuff. Thanks for joining me here on Peaks2Plains Weather, my friends. It's been fun this morning. I hope you have a great day. Happy St. Patty's Day to you. I am kind of the only person in my house that likes corned beef. And I usually go buy some like when it goes on sale after St. Patty's Day, and then I'll cook it up. And my wife's actually going on a trip. We've got a niece that's getting married coming up this summer. And so kind of going on a, girls away weekend, not the, mom and the aunt going. It's not really like the bachelorette party, but they're going to go hang out this weekend. So since the wife is going to be out of town, I'm going to eat some corned beef. How about that? Good for me. Good for you on this Tuesday, a day of nice weather ahead. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching Peaks2Plains Weather.